Board breaking cards in Duel Links are gradually becoming more and more popular since the format's fields are getting stronger and stronger. People want to have cards to combat those boards easier, like Dark Hole and Mind Control, which can very often, very easily give you the win that very same turn. That said though, in Duel Links we never get to choose whether we go first or whether we go second. If we go second after our opponent has established a field, we can use these cards to invalidate them to make our day easier, and it's undeniable how easy a win can be when you use a board breaker. But if we go first and we have these in our hand, they are often going to need to stay in our hand until our next turn, since the opponent doesn't have a board to break. So they are only useful 50% of the time, but in that 50%, they are absolutely game breaking. That is a risk that many players are willing to take for that reward. I'm not even going to tell you that you shouldn't take that risk for that reward. At the end of the day, we play this game however we enjoy playing it, and nobody should tell you that you shouldn't play it the way you want to. But of course, that doesn't mean that there aren't things to consider when playing a certain way, and that doesn't mean that comparisons shouldn't be made. In this video, I'm going to weigh the pros and cons for board breaking cards, and regardless of how you feel about them, I hope that this video provides some useful or enjoyable insight. I'm going to talk about the pros of board breaking cards first, since it's probably more important in the context of this situation. These days, decks are fairly commonly able to establish more than one interruption on their first turn. Beedroids and Odd Eyes are the best decks in the game. 2 interruptions is basically the bare minimum for them. If you wanted to use a card that turned one of the interruptions off, you would still have the other one to deal with. If you simply used a board breaking card, you'll be dealing with the whole field at once with a single card, and you can use the whole rest of your hand to win the game. This can be quite an advantageous swing, to the point where simply activating Dark Hole, for example, might be enough for you to win the game on the spot. One card dealing with more than one card is always good card economy, and the difference in cards available to both players is often what results in victory more than anything else. If you had to choose between using one card to win the game and 2 cards to win the game, you will know that you are more likely to draw the 1 card you need versus the 2 cards you need, and you also know that you'd prefer to use only 1 card in your hand, so the rest of your cards can be used for other things. There are also a lot of decks that set up a strong enough defense turn 1 that they can afford to keep the board breaking card in their hand. They can always use it to help them follow up, or they could use it to help them finish the game. Their opening play could be strong enough that they profitably won't lose in just 1 turn. If you want to play your deck with board breaking cards in it, then of course there are some really good reasons to do so, even in a game like Duel Links where you don't know whether or not you will go first or second. But there are of course downsides to board breaking cards. In the case of Dark Hole, while it can destroy all monsters on the field, its application is limited since you want to use it before using your own monsters, meaning that if you went first and the opponent sets up a board you want to deal with, but you still have monsters on your field, you'll need to sacrifice your own monsters too. But of course, there are decks that can follow up from their own monsters being removed, and there are decks that can protect their own monsters. But if the opponent has monsters that can't be destroyed by card effects, Dark Hole is drastically less useful. For Mind Control, it doesn't really have the same specific issues that Dark Hole has, as it doesn't really destroy anything, and even though it can only take 1 monster, it very well may be taking a monster that can aid you in stopping the rest of their monsters. You can't use it if you don't have an open monster zone, but that situation is rare enough that it's not even worth mentioning, to be honest. Even though I already mentioned it. Thanks, Undead. The weakness of a card like this and Dark Hole isn't so much a weakness, but a competition with other cards you could play instead of them. These cards will often easily deal with what your opponent has set up, but if you have them in your opening hand, you are relying on your opponent not being able to end the game before you can use them. Cards that are good going first would allow you to prevent them from getting to that point in the first place if used wisely, and cards that are good going first are usually also good going second, because while they will be less impactful than board breakers, they will do enough of the same thing to make them versatile. And that's really the main thing you want to be asking yourself when you are choosing what text to put in your deck. Do you want or need them to be powerful, or do you want or need them to be versatile? The answer will vary from person to person and from deck to deck, and one size does not fit all. Of course, the weakness of versatile cards is that they will never be as powerful, but their versatility in multiple situations gives them an edge. For my playstyle, I would prefer to put Forbidden Lance into my deck than Mind Control, because even though Mind Control is more powerful, Chalice can be used in more situations and can be used on the opponent's turn. This doesn't mean that I am the all-knowing, all-powerful god of deck building, and you should just copy from me all the time. No, this is just how I prefer my games to be. I am willing to have less power in order to use something more often, while others are willing to use something less often in order to have more power. It's about picking your poison. picking what you think would be more useful to you and your playstyle. Either way, this format as it is not quite oppressive enough for there to only be one answer, and most decks worth playing are able to play through at least one interruption as it is, so how you choose to go about it is still up to personal preference. But there may come a day where versatility simply isn't enough and we have to rely on power, just as a day may come again where power is redundant and versatility is all that's important. That said, if you are a super graveyard reliant deck, you might want to pack a Chalice for Abyss Dweller, since Chalice is pretty much the only way you can be sure to counter it. What do you prefer in your decks, and what is your reasoning? Be sure to let us know in the comments and we can talk about it some more, and keep it respectful as you always do. But yeah guys, if you like videos like these, slap like now. Subscribe if you haven't already, hit that bell to get notified every time we make a new video, and I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the weatherman. I ain't asking to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake, but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For real.